Hi, good morning, Busan. My name is Charles Dossi. I'm from the company ConsenSys, the company beyond MetaMask. Thanks so much for having me today, and I'd like to share with you our thoughts at ConsenSys on DeFi, decentralized finance, looking at what has changed today in 2021 and how will things look possibly in 2022. I am Charles. I'm the managing director for ConsenSys here in Asia Pacific. I lead the teams in Hong Kong, Singapore, Australia, and Japan, and I'm really delighted to share the conversation with you today. Before we get started, a safe harbor disclaimer: none of the content here shared and discussed today is any kind of investment advice or anything related. So please consider this as information only. Let's talk about CBDCs, stablecoins, look at DeFi by the numbers, compare DeFi and TradFi, the traditional finance. We look at real examples as well as predictions for 2022, so stay tuned. A few words about ConsenSys. We are the world's largest blockchain engineering company. We are building mostly on Ethereum. Three main audiences at ConsenSys: the developers, the enterprise and governments, as well as the end users. What we do is essentially abstracting the complexity of blockchain and make it available via API and many other means. We work with a large portfolio of companies going from regulators to commercial banks, as well as crypto-native companies. I guess here the logos are talking for themselves, but we also build blockchain business networks. So we are the company behind Truffle, the #1 smart contract development platform. We have a very large group dedicated to security audits. Infura is helping more than 100,000 projects connecting to the Ethereum mainnet. And MetaMask has celebrated its 10 million user milestone a few weeks ago. Money is changing and money is changing again. So let's have a look at this kind of friction and competition between the CBDC, central bank digital currencies, and the traditional payment, as well as the stablecoin. And what we see is a growing part of the stablecoins in the market, close to $90 billion today, and stablecoins are also responding, or CBDCs are responding to stablecoins, and we see banks and central banks all over the world, including in Korea with the Central Bank of Korea, effectively and very actively working on CBDCs, and that's really fascinating. When you look at CBDCs, there is two types of CBDCs: the wholesale CBDCs, so it's more the M1, M0, M1 level of money, as well as the retail CBDCs which will end up in our pockets. So we have the chance at ConsenSys to have multiple experience on the wholesale CBDCs, the cross-border CBDCs, as well as the retail CBDCs with multiple central banks from Australia, Thailand, Hong Kong, ZMAS, as well as PBOC China, and Bank of Korea, and we are really excited about that. And what we build with our partners for those central banks is essentially a platform allowing them to very quickly progress on CBDCs. As I was mentioning, we are very, very excited to be working in Korea with our partner Grandex on a CBDC project with a central bank over there, and please stay tuned. There will be more news on this front in the coming months. Let's look at DeFi 2021. What's happening? 2 trillion of market cap in cryptocurrencies, about $600 billion of utility tokens on those networks, and essentially three main activities: the automated issuance and servicing of workflows via smart contracts, decentralized exchanges, as well as decentralized lending. So these are really the three main activity we see in DeFi. The numbers are growing very strongly. As per June 2021, 3 million users of DeFi, over $90 billion of assets, and it's really growing at a very fast pace. What is very interesting to me is to look at how DeFi is growing and how these protocols are actually profitable. What it means that they found the perfect product market fit. They are charging a fee to their customers, usually 30 bips, and the customers are happy to pay for this fee. So it makes these protocols of DeFi sustainable because they have a real stream of revenues, which will allow them to survive over the years and keep innovating, which is probably the most important. Lending is also going through an explosive growth with three main players, Aave, Curve, and Maker. And the ecosystem on Ethereum has been growing tremendously between 2018 and 2020 here. But the numbers are very interesting to look and see how these different type of activities are kind of bundling amongst each other. And what is interesting when you look at the traditional finance versus the decentralized finance, you find out that you start to have equivalence between all the different banking activities in centralized finance versus decentralized finance. And Ethereum sits in the middle as a platform for trust and settlement. But it's really like the full portfolio of activities which is being covered. So usually when you look at DeFi, you will start from the bottom with a settlement layer, and then there is an exchange layer with applications and protocols such as Uniswap or 0x, and then different type of financial primitive. And what we call in DeFi money Lego is actually referring to the composability of finance here in the DeFi space, and that's really opening the door for a lot of innovation in the payment processing with equivalent of the biggest word processor in blockchain now. Same for the core banking activities, lending and underwriting. You find equivalent for many of the activities in finance available already in DeFi. And what is interesting in this DeFi world is the economic abstraction, the fact that you can essentially predefine a set of formal rules and encode them into a smart contract, the composability of the assets and the layers, as well as the atomic execution. Atomic executions means transactions are made in a trustless manner on the network itself without any intermediaries. What is really also catching my attention is the growth of smart contracts. So you might think that in finance you will have entities or you will have companies or individuals, but we see more and more smart contracts being very big players and very big holders in this ecosystem. So software is eating the world, is the original items, but maybe we can say also now that protocols are eating the world. Bridges are being built between DeFi and regular finance. Some DeFi protocols such as Aave are getting licenses in the UK. In Singapore, DBS Bank has started to build a crypto exchange and tokenization platform, and many companies are essentially migrating to Ethereum because of the liveness of its ecosystem. Lately, we've seen something very interesting, which is still in the making, when we've seen Société Générale, one of the top-tier French bank, approaching the DeFi protocol Maker to use a bond which was issued on the Ethereum blockchain as a collateral to get a loan in the form of a stable coin. So that's a very interesting way to see how real assets from the real world are coming into DeFi and are building bridge between these two different worlds. And to assist institutions coming into DeFi, we at ConsenSys have launched MetaMask Institutional, which is essentially a version of MetaMask for the institutions to help them access DeFi in a safe way, connecting them directly to their professional and regulated custodies. So that's something we're very busy and something which is getting a very strong support from the market right now. In sum up, DeFi has been creating and revolutionizing finance. And if you look at the legacy players in DeFi, in finance, such as the New York Stock Exchange, they've been creating about 2,800 trading pairs over 200 years. And if you look at Uniswap, which is just 1 year old, they've been able to create 36,000 trading pairs. So it gives you a sense of the pace of innovation. If you want to be and keep yourself updated on DeFi, I can recommend the DeFi report, which ConsenSys publishes every quarter. It's also available in Korean since a few editions. So feel free to join the newsletter from ConsenSys. Maybe a few words lastly for the companies and some of the audience representative which are part of companies looking at how do you want to be involved with DeFi. I will say it goes into three main themes as a company or as an institutions. Look at the technology. Are you ready for digital asset? Do you have your custody? Do you have your token factory? Start to explore and work on borrowing, lending, automatic market making. So that's the technology side of things. In terms of people, think also of building a digital asset team and train your people. You will be surprised how many of your existing employees are already in their personal time using DeFi. So ask them to raise their hands and identify themselves so they can be part of your new digital asset and DeFi team, and also collaborate, join initiative from your regulators, join initiative from your peers in the industry to start learning and accelerating your learning curve via some collaborations with others. As promised, some predictions for 2022. I believe, but we will talk again next year, that within Q1 next year, the CBDC transaction volume will surpass the stablecoin volume. So today we are trading about close to 150 billion per week on stablecoins, but CBDCs will very soon catch up, and I believe it will be in Q1 next year. A second prediction for the second part of 2022 will be that we will start to see the first regulated bank running exclusively on blockchain infrastructure and digital assets. So that's something very interesting to watch. There is a lot of innovation happening. The regulators are always happy to listen to the industry and craft the right regulations, which is very important. So a very interesting space, which we at ConsenSys are very active on. Thanks for having me. I wish everyone an excellent event, and I look forward to meet you in person soon.